A World on Edge, Understanding the Conflicts. The world stage is currently fraught with tension, a complex web of interconnected conflicts threatening global stability. From the ongoing war in Ukraine to escalating tensions in the Middle East, the potential for wider conflict is palpable. The United States, as a global superpower, finds itself deeply entangled in these crises, playing a crucial role in shaping the trajectory of events. The stakes are high, with the potential for these conflicts to escalate into a larger, more devastating war. The international community is grappling with the implications of these conflicts, seeking ways to de-escalate tensions and prevent further bloodshed. The involvement of major powers, including the United States, Russia, and China, adds another layer of complexity to the situation. The potential for miscalculation or unintended consequences is significant, underscoring the need for careful diplomacy and strategic decision-making. The humanitarian cost of these conflicts is already staggering, with countless lives lost and millions displaced from their homes. The ripple effects of these crises are felt globally, impacting economies, exacerbating existing inequalities, and fueling political instability. The need for a peaceful resolution is paramount, but the path to achieving it remains elusive. The interconnected nature of these conflicts makes finding a solution even more challenging. Events in one region can quickly escalate tensions in another, creating a domino effect with potentially catastrophic consequences. The international community must work together to address the root causes of these conflicts and find a sustainable path towards peace. The U.S. at the crossroads, navigating global tensions. The United States faces a critical juncture in its foreign policy, navigating a complex and volatile international landscape. The current global tensions demand a nuanced and strategic approach, balancing the need to protect U.S. interests with the imperative of promoting global stability. The decisions made by U.S. policymakers in the coming weeks and months will have profound consequences for the future of international relations. The U.S. is grappling with the challenge of managing its relationships with key global players, including Russia, China, and Iran. These relationships are fraught with tension, marked by mistrust and competing interests. Finding common ground and avenues for cooperation is essential to prevent further escalation of conflicts. The U.S. is also actively engaged in diplomatic efforts to de-escalate tensions in various regions, including the Middle East and Eastern Europe. These efforts require careful coordination with allies and a willingness to engage in dialogue with adversaries. The success of these diplomatic initiatives will be crucial in determining the trajectory of the current crises. The U.S. is facing increasing pressure to take a more assertive role in addressing the global challenges, including climate change, pandemics, and economic instability. The international community is looking to the U.S. for leadership and support in tackling these complex issues. The U.S. must rise to the occasion and demonstrate its commitment to global cooperation and problem-solving. The shadow of elections, U.S. domestic politics and international implications. The upcoming U.S. presidential election adds another layer of complexity to the already tense global situation. The outcome of the election could have significant implications for U.S. foreign policy and the country's role in international affairs. Both domestic and international actors are closely watching the election, anticipating potential shifts in U.S. policy and engagement. The candidates' stances on key foreign policy issues, including the war in Ukraine, relations with China, and the Iran nuclear deal, are under intense scrutiny. The election could potentially lead to a change in course in U.S. foreign policy, depending on the winner and their priorities. The election campaign itself could also exacerbate existing tensions. Rhetoric and political posturing could further complicate diplomatic efforts and increase the risk of miscalculation. The international community is watching closely for any signs of how the election might impact the delicate balance of global power. The outcome of the election will have a profound impact on the U.S.'s ability to address global challenges and maintain its leadership role in the international arena. The next president will inherit a complex and volatile world, requiring skillful diplomacy and strategic decision-making to navigate the challenges ahead. Boots on the ground U.S. troop deployments and their significance. The recent deployment of U.S. troops to the Middle East has raised concerns about the potential for further escalation of tensions in the region. The decision to send additional troops is a clear indication of the U.S.'s commitment to protecting its interests and deterring potential adversaries. However, this move also carries the risk of further inflaming an already volatile situation. The U.S. military presence in the region is a complex issue with a long history. The U.S. has maintained a significant military presence in the Middle East for decades, playing a key role in regional security and stability. However, this presence has also been a source of controversy and resentment among some regional actors. The current troop deployments are seen by some as a necessary step to deter aggression and protect U.S. interests. The U.S. government has stated that the deployments are intended to send a clear message of resolve to potential adversaries and reassure allies in the region. However, others argue that the increased military presence could backfire and lead to further escalation. The deployment of troops is a significant development that could have far-reaching consequences. The international community is closely monitoring the situation and assessing the potential implications of this move. The risk of unintended consequences is high, underscoring the need for careful diplomacy and strategic decision-making. Preventing a regional inferno: diplomatic efforts and challenges. Diplomatic efforts are underway to prevent the current tensions in the Middle East from escalating into a wider regional conflict. Various international actors, including the United Nations, regional organizations, and individual countries, are engaged in talks and negotiations aimed at de-escalating the situation. However, these efforts face significant challenges. The complex web of alliances and rivalries in the region makes finding a common ground extremely difficult. The involvement of multiple actors with conflicting interests complicates the diplomatic process and increases the risk of miscommunication and miscalculation. The deep-seated mistrust between some of the key players further hinders the progress of diplomatic efforts. Years of conflict and animosity have created a climate of suspicion and hostility, making it difficult to build trust and establish open communication channels. Despite these challenges, diplomatic efforts remain crucial to preventing a wider conflict. The international community must continue to engage in dialogue and seek common ground, even in the face of seemingly insurmountable obstacles. The alternative, a regional war with potentially catastrophic consequences, is simply unacceptable. Fragile truces, ceasefires, and the prospect of lasting peace. Ceasefires are a critical step towards achieving lasting peace in conflict zones. They provide a much-needed respite from violence and create an opportunity for dialogue and negotiation. However, ceasefires are often fragile and can easily be broken if the underlying causes of the conflict are not addressed. The success of a ceasefire depends on the commitment of all parties to uphold its terms. This requires a willingness to compromise and make concessions, even if it means making difficult choices. The international community can play a crucial role in supporting ceasefire agreements and monitoring their implementation. The implementation of a ceasefire agreement often involves complex logistical and political challenges. Disarmament, demobilization, and reintegration of former combatants are often difficult and time-consuming processes. The international community can provide technical assistance and financial support to facilitate these processes. Even if a ceasefire holds, achieving lasting peace requires addressing the root causes of the conflict. This often involves complex political negotiations, economic reforms, and social reconciliation efforts. The international community can play a supportive role in these processes, but ultimately, it is the responsibility of the parties involved to find a sustainable path towards peace. The Russia-Ukraine conflict, a defining moment. The ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine represents a defining moment in international relations. The invasion of Ukraine by Russia has shattered the post-Cold War order and raised serious questions about the future of European security. The international community has condemned Russia's actions and imposed sanctions, but the conflict continues to rage. The conflict has had a devastating impact on Ukraine, with countless lives lost and millions displaced from their homes. The humanitarian crisis is worsening, with urgent needs for food, shelter, and medical care. The international community is providing humanitarian aid, but the scale of the crisis is overwhelming. The conflict has also had wider geopolitical implications, exacerbating tensions between Russia and the West. The conflict has raised fears of a new Cold War and has led to increased military spending and deployments in Europe. The risk of a wider conflict remains a serious concern. The resolution of the Russia-Ukraine conflict is crucial for restoring stability in Europe and preventing further escalation of tensions. The international community must continue to engage in diplomatic efforts and seek a peaceful resolution that respects Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity.